In the grand, cacophonous theater of human conflict, where the clamor of swords and the roar of defiance have long been celebrated as the instruments of victory, there exists a different kind of protagonist. This figure does not occupy the center stage, does not bellow declarations of war, and does not seek the validation of an audience. He is a Sigma male, an archetype of quiet self-possession and formidable internal fortitude. His battle against malevolence is not fought on a physical battlefield, but in the silent, shadowed arenas of psychology and presence. He represents a profound and often unsettling truth, that the most potent force against corruption is not a more aggressive form of chaos, but an immovable state of truth. He does not fight evil with swords. He compels it to self-destruct through a masterful application of silence, perception, and unassailable integrity. This exploration delves into the intricate mechanisms of this quiet dominance, unpacking how a presence, rather than an action, can become the most lethal weapon against the forces of darkness. 1. The architecture of inner sanctity, foundations of the Sigma psyche. To understand how the Sigma male neutralizes evil, one must first comprehend the architecture of his own being. He is not merely an introvert or a loner by circumstance. His solitude is a chosen fortress, a state of being forged in self-awareness and profound alignment with his own core principles. This alignment is what the transcript refers to as raw alignment with truth. It is not a truth he preaches, but one he embodies, a seamless integration of thought, value, and action that leaves no crevices for hypocrisy or external manipulation to take root. His identity is not constructed from the reflections he sees in the eyes of others. It is an internally generated edifice, built on a foundation of self-knowledge and acceptance. This grants him a remarkable immunity to the societal pressures and emotional baiting that so often ensnare others. He does not seek validation because he is his own validator. He does not chase vengeance because the opinions and actions of those outside his moral framework simply do not register as worthy of altering his internal state. This is not arrogance, but a form of existential independence. His energy is not expended on maintaining a persona or defending an ego. It is conserved, focused, and channeled into observation, analysis, and strategic existence. This conserved energy becomes a fuel for his unique form of warfare, a warfare where the first and most critical victory is the total conquest of the self. The Sigma male's intelligence is not merely academic or intellectual in the conventional sense. It is a deeply intuitive and contextual form of wisdom. He possesses what can be described as a high-resolution perception of human nature. He reads the subtext of conversations, deciphers the micro-expressions that flicker across a face, and understands the hidden architecture of social dynamics. This allows him to see the cracks in the facades people present to the world. He can discern the insecurity beneath the bravado, the fear motivating the aggression, and the profound emptiness at the heart of the narcissist's grandiosity. This perceptual clarity is his primary radar. It allows him to map the terrain of a conflict long before any overt hostilities begin. Because he is not emotionally entangled in the need for social approval, his perception remains unclouded by wishful thinking or the desire to see the good in people. He sees what is, not what he hopes might be. This objective, almost clinical, understanding of human motivation is the bedrock upon which all his strategies are built. It is a reason he can remain calm in the face of storms that would capsize others. He is not reacting to the surface-level waves, but to the understood currents and tides moving deep below. 2. The illumination of truth, turning on the light instead of fighting shadows. The first and most fundamental strategy in the Sigma male's arsenal is a refusal to engage evil on its own terms. Malevolence, in all its forms, manipulation, deceit, narcissism, is akin to a shadow. It has no substance of its own. It is merely an absence of light, a distortion that thrives in obscurity and misdirection. To fight a shadow directly is a futile endeavor. Swinging a sword at a shadow only creates more movement and distortion, expending energy to no avail. The Sigma male intuitively grasps this metaphysical principle. He understands that darkness does not vanish through confrontation. In fact, confrontation often provides a very drama and engagement that darkness uses to validate its own existence. Instead of matching aggression with aggression, the Sigma male simply turns on the light. This light is a radiance of his own unwavering presence and truth. He does not actively attack the deceiver. He merely embodies honesty and awareness so completely that deception cannot survive in his proximity. Imagine a room where a manipulator has carefully constructed a narrative, controlling perceptions of everyone present through half-truths and emotional leverage. The manipulator's power is contingent on the shadows in the room, the unspoken doubts, the hidden agendas, the fears that no one dares to articulate. When a Sigma male enters this environment, he does not necessarily speak out immediately. His very presence begins to alter the psychological atmosphere. His calm, observant demeanor acts as a passive source of illumination. The lies, which depended on everyone avoiding a direct gaze, suddenly feel exposed. The manipulator's carefully constructed control begins to slip, not because of a challenge, but because the environment itself has become a mirror for truth. This process is subtle, yet devastatingly effective. The light he shines is quiet but unavoidable. It is a light of unspoken questions, of a gaze that does not look away, of a calm that refuses to be ruffled by provocations. Evil relies on its ability to hide its flaws behind veils of fear, pride, and cunning. When the Sigma male's light hits these constructs, the careful facades begin to crumble. The manipulator's strategy falls apart because its foundation, secrecy and misdirection, has been eroded. The liar's story collapses under the weight of its own inconsistency when reflected in the clear, still pool of the Sigma male's perception. This approach is far more terrifying to the corrupt individual than any brute force. Physical fights end, and harsh words are eventually forgotten, but the Sigma male's illuminating presence forces profound and uncomfortable self-reflection. Darkness cannot lie when it is illuminated. It cannot intimidate when its intended victim refuses to react with fear. By simply existing with clarity, discipline, and unwavering perception, the Sigma male makes evil stumble over its own ego. There are no theatrics, no posturing, no vows of vengeance, just a constant, undeniable light that keeps shining until the shadows have no choice but to fade away. 3. The strategic withdrawal, starving the parasite of its host. Evil, particularly in its psychological forms like narcissism and manipulation, is not a self-sustaining entity. It is a parasitic force that requires a host to survive. Its sustenance is not food or water, but attention, the emotional reactions, the chaos, the fear, and even the admiration it can provoke in others. A manipulator performs a constant, often subconscious, calculus of power, measuring their own influence by the emotional turbulence they can generate. They need an audience to witness their drama, to validate their existence through reactive energy. The Sigma male understands his parasitic nature at an instinctual level. He recognizes that the greatest weapon against such darkness is not a more clever counter-manipulation, but a profound and strategic indifference. When confronted with provocation, he does not feed the entity. He does not rise to the bait, justify himself, or display the anger or fear that the dark personality expects and craves. This calculated lack of engagement is psychologically devastating. The manipulator has a script, a predictable sequence of action and reaction that they have used to control others. They push a button expecting a specific, chaotic response. When they push the Sigma male's button and are met with nothing but serene, unresponsive silence, their entire script collapses. This withdrawal of attention is not a sign of weakness or passivity. It is an active, potent strategy. It is the emotional equivalent of a surgeon tying off an artery. The parasite, suddenly starved of its lifeblood, begins to flounder and writhe. The manipulator, expecting sparks and drama, is left in a void. Their power, which they believed was intrinsic, is revealed to be entirely dependent on having willing participants. Without an audience, they are hollow. This realization often dawns with a growing sense of panic and confusion. They may redouble their efforts, becoming more extreme in their provocations, pouring more and more their own energy into a vacuum. This is where the Sigma male strategy reaches its zenith. He forces evil to exhaust itself. The manipulator's energy is wasted, their schemes falter, and the fear they tried to create evaporates because there is no one left to feel it. The Sigma male's silence becomes louder than any shouted insult or passionate argument could ever be. By refusing to clap, he ends a performance, leaving the performer alone on the stage, confronted with the crushing emptiness of their own irrelevance. 4. The alchemy of adversity, transforming pain into a blueprint for mastery. Life, in its inherent unpredictability, delivers pain, betrayal, and unfairness to all individuals, regardless of their psychological constitution. The Sigma male is not immune to these blows. However, His response to adversity is what sets him apart and further sharpens his capabilities. When evil attacks him, when betrayal cuts deep, he does not succumb to the primal reactions of lashing out in anger or crumbling into despair. Instead, he engages in a form of psychological alchemy. He takes the raw, painful experience and transmutes it into something of immense value: strategic intelligence. Every insult, every manipulation, every attempt to wound him is treated not as a personal tragedy, but as a data point. He gathers this data with a detached curiosity, analyzing the patterns, motives, and weaknesses of the aggressor. Pain, instead of being a debilitating weakness, becomes a blueprint for his next move. What was intended to harm him ultimately sharpens his understanding of the dark corners of the human psyche. The more a manipulator tries to break him, the more the Sigma male learns about the manipulator's own limitations and predictable tactics. This process is entirely internal and invisible. He does not broadcast his pain or his analysis. He quietly studies, adapts, and files away the lessons learned. This transformative ability means that evil fundamentally underestimates the Sigma male. The aggressor expects their attacks to leave scars that foster vulnerability. They anticipate a reaction, anger, fear, or a desperate quest for revenge that they can then exploit. Instead, they encounter a figure who does not flinch, whose calm demeanor seems to absorb their malice without a ripple. The attacks that were meant to destabilize only serve to make the Sigma male more formidable. Each challenge becomes a stepping stone to a higher level of mastery. By the time the aggressor realizes that their actions have been pedagogic rather than punitive, it is already too late. The Sigma male has upgraded his internal software, and the old viruses of manipulation are no longer effective. He turns the very substance meant to poison him into an antidote and a weapon. In this way, nothing meant to break him ever truly succeeds, for he has mastered the art of transforming every blow into unstoppable momentum and every wound into a source of wisdom. 5. The dissolution of fear through masterful understanding. Fear is the currency of tyrants and the engine of manipulation. Evil, in its many guises, thrives on the ability to instill doubt, uncertainty, and panic in its targets. It knows how to twist these primal emotions into obedience, compliance, or chaotic reactions that create openings for further control. Most people have an instinctive, often involuntary, reaction to fear. It triggers their fight, flight, or freeze response, causing them to act in ways that expose their vulnerabilities and hand over their power to the aggressor. The Sigma male approaches fear from an entirely different paradigm. He does not deny its existence or try to suppress it through brute force of will. Instead, he becomes a scholar of his own fear. He dissects it with the dispassionate curiosity of a scientist examining a complex organism. He inquires into its roots. What is the precise nature of this fear? What is the worst-case scenario it presents? What are its triggers? What underlying beliefs does it reveal? By deconstructing fear in this manner, he robs it of its amorphous, overwhelming power. Once fear is fully understood, broken down into its component parts, it ceases to be a terrifying monster lurking in the dark and becomes a known quantity, a map of potential threats and psychological landmines. This mastery over his own internal landscape makes the Sigma male virtually immune to external intimidation. The manipulator who thrives on pulling emotional strings finds that the Sigma male has no strings to pull. Attempts to provoke fear are met not with anxiety, but with analysis. The Sigma male observes a tactic, identifies its purpose, and files it away as another piece of data about the aggressor's methodology. This lack of the expected faithful response is profoundly disorienting and disarming for the evil individual. Their primary tool is rendered useless. The Sigma male, by understanding and dissolving his own fear, turns the tables completely. The fear that was intended to control him instead becomes a source of insight, sharpening his perception and exposing the crude mechanics of the aggressor's attempts. He demonstrates that true courage is not the absence of fear, but the profound understanding of it. And in that understanding lies liberation from all who would use terror as a weapon. 6. The unassailable frequency, radiating a moral clarity that corrupts corruption. Beyond specific strategies of engagement or disengagement, the Sigma male possesses a fundamental quality that acts as a passive defense and an active disruptor. He radiates a distinct moral and energetic frequency. This is not about being morally superior in a preachy or judgmental way. It is an embodied state of integrity, a coherence between his inner values and his outer presence that is quietly palpable. This energy is one of pure, disciplined, and incorruptible self-possession. Individuals who operate through deceit and manipulation are often highly attuned, on a subconscious level, to this frequency. They can sense it, and it causes them a deep, inexplicable discomfort. Being near someone who is genuinely authentic and self-contained forces them, at a level below conscious thought, to confront the incongruence of their own being. Their lies feel flimsy in this field of integrity. Their manipulations feel more transparent. Their attempts at intimidation feel clumsy and ineffective. It is a psychological equivalent of a vampire being repelled by a sacred symbol. The darkness instinctively recoils from a light it cannot dim or corrupt. This phenomenon is perhaps the most elegant and effortless of the Sigma male's methods. It requires no direct action on his part. He does not need to dismantle evil actively. His mere presence, his unwavering state of being, does the work for him. The manipulator begins to second-guess themselves, to overcompensate, or to falter simply because they are in the field of someone who refuses to participate in their chaotic dance. The Sigma male's moral frequency becomes a silent, ambient weapon. It disarms without confrontation, exposes without accusation, and neutralizes without a single shot being fired. It is the ultimate form of dominance, achieved not through aggression, but through the sheer, unassailable power of authentic being. In his presence, deception is not only challenged, it is made to feel ashamed of its own existence. Conclusion: the quiet victory of the unmoved mover. The Sigma male stands as a formidable paradox in the human landscape. He is a warrior who does not fight, a victor who does not gloat, and a force of order who operates through strategic non-participation. His battle against evil is a masterclass in psychological jiu-jitsu, using the momentum and energy of darkness itself to bring about its downfall. He illuminates rather than attacks, starves rather than fights, observes rather than reacts, and transforms every assault into a lesson that fortifies him further. His power is not of the kind that is built on loud proclamations or visible displays of force. It is a deep, resonant power that emanates from a core of unshakable self-mastery. He teaches a brutal yet elegant lesson, that the most profound victories are often the quietest. True dominance is demonstrated through restraint, and the ultimate authority belongs to the one who remains unmoved by the chaos around him. He proves that evil, for all its bluster and menace, is a fragile construct, a house of cards built on the shifting sands of illusion, fear, and the need for an audience. When confronted with the silent, solid, and immovable reality of the Sigma male, that house cannot stand. It collapses under the weight of its own ignored existence, leaving the Sigma male untouched, untarnished, and already walking toward the next horizon, his quiet presence a perpetual beacon against the darkness. Do these ideas resonate with you? If you found yourself nodding along or reflecting deeply on the traits and experiences we explored in this video, I'd love to hear your thoughts. The Sigma male mindset isn't often talked about openly, and your perspective, whether you identify with it personally or have encountered it in others, adds valuable depth to the conversation. Drop a comment below and let me know. Which part hit home the most for you? Have you seen these traits in yourself or someone you know? Your insights help build a community where authenticity and growth are prioritized over popularity and performance. If you're drawn to this kind of introspective, no-nonsense content around Sigma males, psychological strength, emotional intelligence, and high-value living, there's more waiting for you. Explore the other videos on this channel for deeper dives, actionable insights, and raw truths that cut through the noise. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay sharp, stay grounded, and stay unapologetically real. Until next time.